what it looks like is that Jasmy is not only doing cross-border, but in the Internet of Things, and we haven't got into that description yet, but you're about to describe, I believe, where it's not just peer-to-peer, but it's also chain and subchain, because the main chain needs to know what's going on a particular coin, and so the subchain has to be able to communicate what happened in a transaction to the main chain. And if the main chain is something that's using hashing, well, now how do you do that? How do you communicate that? So they came up with, see, because Ripple came up with a whole nother way. They don't use hashing. They use a whole nother way. So now what Jasmy has done is added the capability to get involved with all of it. Smart contracts, they'll be able to, because you got multiple coins. Let's say you have a smart contract that's maybe a value trading trigger that's going to happen between two different coins based on a trigger, say a baseball game, whoever wins a baseball game. So in the Internet of all things, you have AI, you have things being monitored, scores being done, and you make this betting contract, and one guy's betting the value of Jasmy's, like, I'll use my Jasmy coin, and another guy's using Bitcoin. And and if it's a team of people betting and you got all these different coins, well, now Jasmy can play in that game, because it can communicate with all of these systems, kind of like having an ISO protocol that everybody that's going to use the same thing for the same reason so they can participate. Well, we're getting ready to go over that, I believe, aren't we?
Yeah, look at this for a second, guys. Interledger blockchain. Here's a little bit of that juicy part, okay? Because some of you guys who follow Jasmy, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this. So this was written back in 2020. It talks about an Interledger blockchain platform for cross-border management, cybersecurity information, IEEE internet computing. Now, again, Jasmy, Tadashi Morita, right there. Morita even still has some pending patents. He has some completed patents. So, again, we've done probably like 4 or 5 different video deep dives in regards to Tadashi Morita and how he really stands out, especially with his contributions that are even cited from the IEEE. But what about this thing in regards to Ripple and Jasmy? So it talks about this other example of interoperability, and specifically we're talking about cross-border payments. Okay, I know it sounds crazy when you just connect and hear this. But it talks about interoperability for an application, API gateway, for interoperability, the tools, auxiliary mechanism described at present. But basically, I want to jump into just a couple more things, because Will Fix was talking about, from what he gathered, in regards to a request, like a bridge. We're always talking about these bridge currencies and how that's done. What did you gather from some of these examples, Will?
Well, the same thing. I mean, the picture really says it all.
Yeah.
You can just see.
Request bridge, accessibility, request a bridge. Yeah. This
Yeah,
other part. Go ahead.
The big thing to me was that because doing a transaction cross border is one thing, but when you get involved with, when it talks about payments and it talks about leverage, as soon as it's bringing up leverage, that to me, it opens up a couple things. It opens up smart contracts, property, the derivatives market. That's way more than just cross border. So with that ability, I mean, is it possible to see Jasmy putting smart contracts in their future, or tokenization? So really that lifts Jasmy up to be able to do through language and their scalability, and through interoperability, through all of this chain and subchain, main chain, not just hashing. And I mean, it puts them really on the same level to play with the same toys. This really lifts them up right up there with everybody else, where all of the reasons that people may have had to think that they were, you know, some kind of a lesser than coin. I mean,
Right.
didn't they get treated like that by Binance? They got set over and then what an not an
Yes.
experimental. What was it?
They sent to the innovation zone, and you know,
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
at 0.008, 0.008. We're only like you know, with a 2/10 away from a penny. We have so much momentum, and then Binance.us put Jasmy in an innovation zone, created a lot of FUD. But to me, it was market manipulation, and we saw that. And what do we also see, guys? Like roughly 3 weeks to a month later, you had Binance, what's it called, Greenfield or whatever it is, and it's very similar to Jasmy, not completely. And it's just like, well, what's going on? And then we also see instances on Etherscan, you know, of Binance. I mean, we know that Binance owns like, was it 26, 28%, something like that, in regards to Jasmy. And then what they do, they bought more Jasmy, bought like 300 million Jasmy more. Maybe it's over $1 billion at this point over the course of 4 or 5 months now. So yeah, I would definitely say it's manipulation.
Yeah, very well could be. And you know, if they're set over there in the corner, because they're still being innovated, so to speak. Well, what is this right here? What does this do? Does this pull them out of that category? Because now they've actually added very substantial amount of usability. You know, it's just an open source protocol, and it connects. It just connects everything and takes out intermediaries so that the languages can interpret. It's like a self-interpreting language. And didn't we look up who did that? Who made that, Max? Didn't we look that up today?
Yeah, I thought, you know, this guy was related to David Schwartz.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah, if you guys appreciate the content, all we ask is you smash the like. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, my name is Evan. I work at Ripple on the Interledger protocol. I'm going to go through. Today I'm going to be talking very quickly about Interledger and streaming payments. So I'm the co-inventor of Interledger. I've been working on it full-time for the past 3 years. So the problem that we want to solve is today, if you tried to go and actually use cryptocurrency for anything, you would have a situation like this. You walk into a grocery store, you say, hey, do you accept Ether? And they would say, what is that? No, sorry. And the fundamental problem is that all of these different payment networks are disconnected. You can't use any type of cryptocurrency today for payments because you need the other person to actually accept that cryptocurrency. Blockchains don't solve the interoperability problem by themselves. Blockchains are individual networks that have the same problems as traditional ones where they're all disconnected. What we need is a system for internetworking payment networks. And so this term internetworking comes from the internet. That's what it's named after. And at its core, the internet is all about routing little packets of data across independent networks. So what we need is a system for routing packets of money across independent payment networks. So what that would enable is me to pay you, even if I have some kind of super obscure cryptocurrency and you just want dollars or whatever you want. So what Interledger does is it routes packets of money very similarly to how the internet routes packets of data. I won't get into too much of how that works, but I want to walk through some of the cool things that this lets you do. So when we're applying this analogy with the internet, one of the things we get to is this idea of streaming payments. So if you broke up payments into little tiny chunks and could route these packets super efficiently, what you could end up with is this idea of streaming payments. So one of the things that could look like is, oh, you need to send a bigger payment? Okay, it depends on your payment bandwidth, which is a weird concept that we work with a lot, where that would be measured in dollars per second that you can send, or whatever currency you have. Some of the cool use cases that come out of this, things like streaming media. So today payments are super inefficient and clunky, and so we prefer things like monthly subscriptions. I pay my $10 a month because I don't want to be bothered by this. If you made the payments super efficient and could do it on a very small basis, you could do things like paying for a second of video. So you're streaming me video, I'm streaming you money, and if I pause the video, I stop paying for it. If I walk away, I stop. If I come back and hit play again, keep streaming money, because it would be that efficient. Another cool thing that comes out of this is the idea of sign-up list services. Today in the physical world, when you walk into a shop and you want to have some financial exchange, the exchange normally goes, I give you money, you give me good or service, and I walk out. I don't need an account, I don't need to sign up, things like that. Today on the internet, you always need to sign up for accounts, because there's no way to do this very seamless. Here's a little bit of money, you give me a little bit of service, rinse and repeat. As a business, if you're giving me hosting services or something like that, you don't need to know who I am, you just need the money. And so with something like Interledger, you'd enable anybody to land money in your account, even if they're on some completely different payment network. So that would enable sign-up list services. Another neat idea we've been playing with is the idea of a creative marketplace license. So the idea here is, today we have Creative Commons license, which is awesome. If you want to give away your work, it's a really, really great project. One of the issues with Creative Commons is there's no way to have a license that's as easy to use where you can actually monetize your work. So the idea here is, with something like Interledger, you could actually have a license that says anybody can use this content, feel free to, but for every download or view or whatever kind of interaction you want to monetize, just pay me at this address. And the thing that's really missing today in order to do this is the assumption that just anybody could pay you. Because there's no interoperability and because we don't have internetworking for payments, if you did this kind of license, you'd be like, okay, anybody that has Bitcoin can now pay me, which is a tiny subset of everybody. The thing that makes the internet work is that everybody can access it. Well, last kind of fun thing to throw out there is, if you connect every type of currency and payment network together, what you can enable is payments from weird currencies. So today you use dollars because everyone else accepts dollars here. If everything's connected, you could pay with stocks, community currency, local currency, crypto, whatever you prefer.
Jasmy has been looking to create a decentralized data marketplace. Okay, that's what really stands out for him. Especially this whole concept of trying to do this thing of, cross-border payments. But if you were watching that video, the guy mentions a creative marketplace license for what? Monetization. What has Jasmy mentioned in regards to you having a personal data locker, for you can have the option to do what? Monetize your data. Some people might only sell their data for $5. Some people might sell for hundreds or thousands. Who knows? Depending on how valuable that data is. So that example that he gave, Mr. Schwartz, not David Schwartz, but this guy, that was a great example. And then this last one, and I'll kick it over to you, Will, payments from weird currencies. Think about what you just mentioned. You mentioned crypto, but you mentioned weird currencies. He said specifically, Will, local currencies. This pounds home everything I've been talking about for 8+ months, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of yen-denominated stablecoins. So back to you, man.
Yeah. No, exactly. Jasmy's, of course, based out of Japan. Japan's economy, they were begging for inflation for years, actually, because the Japanese save tons of money. They save money like crazy. And that was affecting the system in a way that they had not anticipated. The McCarthyism system was working real good, but they were saving money, and it kind of affected everything. That's an aspect that it's the third largest economy. Jasmy becomes big. It's going to become big there as well, which that's the root of where it's going to get big. In the third largest economy is an economy where they save money. So you see what's going to happen. They're talking about stability, and they're talking about this lock that they were doing to try to stabilize the coin. I have a feeling when it gets bigger, it's going to stabilize just because of the Japanese people and their whole way of doing things. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
You mean like the honor system?
Free.
Yeah.
Free. No super chat needed.
No, I was saying like the honor system. You know, they have a sense of honor, right? Anyway,
As you know, we got a brother channel, and it's ran by MAXIMUSCRYPTO 2690. Maximus is a highly educated man, and he is our research analyst. He does deep diving. He's put something together for us for this particular channel. I want you to check it out. You can see the link at the top. It's either here or there. Check it out.